technical difficulties. There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and yes, we are back on to the SNAP Food Stamps series. And what we're going to be going into today is essentially just how difficult it is to actually keep services like SNAP. So, we're going to be going through the renewal facts here in a moment so that you know our current chair can get educated on just how easy it is to so-called get these benefits and keep them. Alright, but before we do, disclaimer, everything that we are going through in regards to our food stamps at SNAP series, you're going to find right there in the description box for you, including the link to what we are going to be going through today. So if you'd like to do a deep dive on the subject on your own, you are more than welcome to do so. Trigger warning, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity, and some of the topics that we cover, like the Judge Rothberg Educational Center, are pretty dark. So if your child is 16 and younger and they're watching this, parental supervision is advised. Also warning, I'm autistic. I have stems, and I'm stemming right now because there are storms on the way and my entire spine hurts, and it's kind of a way of self-regulation. If this disturbs anyone while watching the video, I do apologize in advance. But more often than not, I don't even realize I'm doing it until, like, I catch it while unaware. It's like me, staring at my own camera here. Alright, so we are going to be talking about something I used to have to go through regularly once every year called the annual renewal. I'm going through this because folks seem to think, apparently, that this is so easy. You just apply, they keep putting money on your card forever, you never have to do anything, and you just never work. I'm sorry, but reality is it's a lot more complicated than that. So, what is an annual renewal? Annual renewal is a process the Family Support Division, also known as FSD, is federally required to complete that determines if a participant is still eligible. Granted, remember, this is from my own state, but they have something similar in other states as well, so the information is still relevant. Still eligible for the Missouri HealthNet, Missouri Medicaid each year. Why were annual renewals required from 2020 to 2022 is not really something we need to look at right now, because that was the height of the COVID pandemic, which means to me that that is actually self-explanatory. But yes, they do make you do those annual renewals, and the reason really is to determine if you actually still really need the aid or not, because remember, these are money that are specifically allocated for the poor, the homeless, and specifically. So if you're an individual that all of a sudden has a great job and you didn't report that to FSD, you are essentially still receiving benefits that should be going to another person in need. You can see the conflict there, yes? Now, what happens if you don't show up for your annual renewal? Well, I'm glad you asked. They shut it off entirely. That means any money that is left on your card, once they shut it down, you can use that, but afterwards, the card is dead until you actually need it again. But either way, you gotta go through the annual renewal process. Okay? So, that's part of what that does. And by the way, this is something that is done in every single type of disability benefit as well. No Health Nut, gotta do the annual renewal. Social Security, annual renewal. Section 8, you got it. So, to explain what that is like, a world where you're dealing with individuals like me who are transportation challenged is essentially there is a nice block of a solid month where I used to have to use the bus system out here, which by the way takes forever. We're talking a full 8-hour period to just take care of like literally one appointment. No, I'm not kidding. I wish to God I was. So, solid month, each day had to go out, take care of a freaking renewal. And remember, you can't do those sort of things on the weekends. And back then, those offices were still relatively small and only open on certain weekdays. So, ask me how fun that is. Not only that, but they required paperwork. If I had a job, they wanted to see my pay stubs. And I'd better take them. Because if I held out on them, yeah, won't end well. Won't end well at all. Let me go ahead and continue. So, when will you need to complete the annual renewal? Typically, the renewal will be required during your anniversary month, or month when your coverage began. So, say you got accepted in December. So the following December of that year, they're going to schedule you to come in to do a renewal. Okay? You can find out when you are due for your annual renewal by logging into the FSD benefit portal, which would have been useful back in the early 2000s, you know, just saying, because I always had to show up in person after a phone call, and I have the short-term memory of a goldfish. Sorry, I gotta add some levity to some of this. If you do not have an account set up, they'll take you through the tutorial, When your annual renewal is due, you'll be able to complete and submit your annual renewal form online. Now, back in the day, you used to always have to do that in person. And also think about the fact that that used to be the case with supplemental security income and Social Security as well. But since we have the Trump administration seeking to take out billions and billions of dollars out of these programs, if you notice, they already have closed some offices. And if you're an elderly individual who really is just unfamiliar with the website, you're going to have to go in person. And just like with supplemental security income, if they begin to close these offices down locally and they don't drive like myself, exactly what do you expect them to do when the closest office may be 2 hours away? Well, take a cab. They're getting food stamps because they don't have a whole lot of money. Cabs cost money. You take about an office that takes 2 hours to get to. Let me put it out for you. I once, back in the start of my very first call center, second call center job, due to a car wreck that my carpool had managed to get itself in, I had to call a cab. It was about an hour 45-minute drive from where I was at my mom and stepdad's house during that time period, up to here, Springfield, my current city where the job was. That cost me $75, which may not sound like a whole lot to you. But when you are an individual that requires food stamps to be able to stay alive, $75 can pretty much be the difference between whether rent does or does not get paid, whether your medications are going to be able to be covered or not, whether you're going to be able to afford the monthly renewal of your unlimited bus pass so you continue to get to and from work. It may sound little to you, but for those of us who are on the lower income side, like during that time period I was, $75 was a hell of a lot of money. Okay? Yeah. Just say. Now, let me go ahead and go down. There's some of this that I don't necessarily really feel the need to cover, such as the adult expansion coverage. But let me go ahead and continue down. Do I need to do anything to get ready for my annual renewal? Here's what you need to do. Make sure the Family Support Division has your current address on file. We will send you important information about your annual renewal by mail, so it is important that we have your correct address. And of course, you can report changes online. If you can't, you're SOL, stuck taking a cab to the office. Of course, they're on create an account with the new FSD benefit portal. Now, if you are older individuals, this is what's been causing such a major amount of concern among the elderly out here. A good majority of them not only don't know how to use the internet, but trying to force them to in regards to be able to take care of their benefits, their anxiety goes sky high, people. You can't do that to folks who didn't grow up with this stuff. It's not fair. And now you are cutting deeply into these services that a lot of elderly folks use. Okay? And now they have to figure out how to go to an office 2 hours away. The wait times, by the way, locally is at the very least, if you're lucky, a year and a half. It hasn't got as bad as Social Security quite yet, but with the way things are going, yeah. Would you want your elderly mother, if she had to be on that assistance, to be forced to do all that? No, of course you wouldn't. Okay, now, a lot of folks usually would have to end up calling the number, in which case they're going to have to set up that appointment. Because these days they no longer allow the older folks to be able to do the renewals over the phone. What happens if I don't complete my annual renewal by the due date? If you do not complete your MoHealthNet annual renewal by due date, you will lose your MoHealthNet coverage on the last day of the month that your renewal was due. If you complete the annual renewal 90 days of your case closure, MoHealthNet coverage will be restored by the Family Support Division. Reviews your information. Now, for the food stamps, it's following the exact same playbook as Medicaid. So, that annual renewal you would have to do to re-up your food stamps is the exact same type of thing you have to do with Medicaid. But there's a few extra steps in regards to Medicaid, which we are going to be covering when we get back to that series coming up this Saturday. Now, this is a good part that I wanted to go over here real quick. What do I do if I need assistance or have more questions about my annual renewal? Alright, one thing, you can subscribe to email alerts, check the webpage, or they have their Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. And it does have how you report a change, your benefit account, all of this. The problem is they're trying to drive everything online, and what isn't online to something automated. A lot of these folks that use these types of services out here, they are older. They can barely know how to open their email. As an individual whose specific job used to be literally helping much older individuals literally navigate a website like Wayfair and would ask you to send something. You send it from your email. They don't even know how to open it, and they're crying and upset. That is a massive problem. All these mass firings that are going on, it's going to make it that much harder for an elderly person who really, really needs some actual substantial help to be able to get a hold of anyone. You want to know how frustrating it is? Imagine that you are them. There's this new technology that's been around a few decades now, but you're still not very good at using it. You can use an email. You're kind of somewhat good on that. You can go on to news websites, but overall you don't do a whole lot of shopping online because you're just not really sure about it. And then all of a sudden, all the benefits that you are on are all being computerized. And the people that used to take your call to help you are getting fired en masse. So if you even manage to get a human on the phone, you've just had a miracle. And then imagine automating all this stuff. That's the issue. People always think of all these efficient ways to get things done, but they always leave the human element out. And when you leave the human element out, that's when you start getting problems. This is why I've been saying all along, in regards if people are serious about cuts, in regards to waste, we're looking at a situation that requires a scalpel, not a chainsaw. And as for you, speaker, easy my ass. Okay? And we're going to go ahead and close on this one for now. We're going to get more in depth a little bit because this is going to be a shorter series. Not quite as much complication with the food stamps and SNAP as there is in Social Security Section 8 Medicaid. But we are going to have one more video after this coming up for next Wednesday. But for now, we're going to go again and close out. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and as always, folks, please don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Dispelling Tea hope you have a good one. I will see you all tomorrow, in which case I will be coming on and we will be doing the video on the Social Security series. Bye-bye, everyone.